Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. This is our 11th episode, and today I'm very happy to welcome Dhananjay Kumar. He is also my senior from IIT Kharagpur. He is a geophysicist with about 25 years of experience, and we will learn a lot from him today. So, Dhananjay, welcome. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Thank you, Hari,
Uh,
and Vishal. Yeah.
Maybe I would ask you how is your 25 years of journey? What have you learned? Or maybe like how did your progress happen?
So going from the school, from Kharagpur to the industry, when we went to the industry, we thought we know a lot, but as we entered the industry, we thought we know actually quite little, and there's so
Hmm.
much to learn about the geophysics.
Hmm.
And 23, 25 years fast forward, I still think that I have a very little knowledge in the geophysics. On only even the exploration geophysics. Forget about the earthquake and the shallow hazard and other geophysics. Even in
Hmm.
expression seismology, I think I have a lot to learn. And every day I
Hmm.
struggle to get the most out of the data we acquire. So still
Hmm.
in the full speed.
Hmm. What is your present like your present research, or what are you presently working on? Is it very domain specific, or you have to look very wider topics like right now?
Still, I focus on the geophysics. So I still go back to and still use the learning we had in undergraduate through my PhD, the physics, geology,
Mm-hmm.
electrical engineering, like signal processing. Those are
Mm-hmm.
still valid. It's applied science. So we
Yeah.
cannot ignore the science part. Otherwise, the machine will do all the job and we will be jobless. So still try to make use of the we call it term called seismic physics. So the physics that is
Mm-hmm.
more seismic driven because that's the key data
Mm-hmm.
or the technology we use in our exploration domain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So one of the key topic I think people are trying to explore more and more is that now that we have established a way of looking at the data, we still don't use all the data. We still
Mm-hmm.
process it and remove most of the data. And I will say one of the key topics you will hear called full waveform inversions or any other topics name is just about trying to make most out of it. Because we have
Mm-hmm.
spent money and time in acquiring the data, why not make use of the seismic data? So typically when whatever we understand, we say it's our real data, it's our signal. Whatever we cannot understand, we say it's noise. But I consider there is no noise in the data. It's all signal. It is our
Mm-hmm.
limitation as a geoscientist. And we say, okay, this is my signal, that's my noise. And with the time
Mm-hmm.
of the advancement in the geophysics itself and the computing, we are hoping at least that we can make more out of the seismic data we acquire. So that I would
Mm-hmm.
say is the focus along with in the next 5, 10 years, that will be kind of the one of the key theme in the exploration seismic.
So, like getting more insight from the noise, actually, which is
Correct.
being
You can say noise,
yeah,
but yeah, getting more out of
but
the
it's
data.
not
Yeah,
noise. Yeah,
yeah,
getting more out of
yeah.
the data. And so, just out of curiosity, so we did waveform inversion, migration. So, what are the new techniques that is happening to get? I mean, there are many publications, but of course, what are the key techniques that you are using right now to get more information
So
from
one
this
thing
data?
is the algorithm itself. So one is the
Yeah,
computing. So computing has increased infrastructure,
increase.
so we
Yeah.
can do a lot
Mm-hmm.
more computing. So first of all, oil and gas people might think as a very low tech industry, but those who are in this, we know it's a very high tech industry. So if somebody has a confusion that is very low tech industry, making a hand dirty with oil and gas, is very
Yeah.
far from it. I mean, we do have people going to the field and doing those hard jobs, but it's a very
Hmm.
high tech industry. Okay.
Hmm.
So that I want to make it clear. It's very high tech
Hmm.
industry. So we are trying to use the computing facility that we are getting better and better. And
Hmm.
also the data. Data makes a big impact. We are trying to acquire the data that is a lot more, in terms of the broader the frequency, for example, both low
Hmm.
and high frequency, better quality of the
Hmm.
data. So the sensor, the receivers itself is getting better every day. And
Hmm.
of course, the processing technology is improving every day. So it's not one thing. If you just simply improve the computing facility, we are probably not make a huge impact. So it is a combination of how we acquire the data, our understanding of the data or the physics, and how we do the analysis to get most out of it. So one thing is not going to have a big impact.
All right, of course, yes.
And people from all the discipline, they are trying their best to advance in their own field.
Right. And so definitely, and of course, that's I know you don't like ML. You told me for the podcast, but even if not ML, is it because the ML, of course, is deals with big data, like it's other industries. But why do you think so? Like it might not be the answer.
So
Like
I'm not
many
saying that
people
I'm
are just
against
claiming.
ML. I'm not against email, Tani. I'm hoping that it will help us to make a better decision and make more out of the data. So
Right.
I'm all in favor of it. But ultimately, the decision has to be made by individual. And if you label something that it is coming out of the machine learning, and many times it labels as a black box or as a like a magic. If anything come as a magically, people don't feel very comfortable into making use of the data and making a decision, because a lot of money being used, make a drilling or any decision, a lot of money being involved. So if you're not comfortable as a human being, it takes it's very difficult. So these days you are in the ML domain, so you'll know more. People are using a term called physics based or physics biased or physics influenced machine learning. So people are trying to use some of the physics learning or physical theory or physical understanding in the machine learning training, for example, just to get a feel of it, what's going on inside the black box. So once we get a better understanding of the black box, people will feel more comfortable.
Yeah, that's of course true. Well, that is what definitely that there is something I think as I'm working with also as a geophysicist and also AI person, I do feel that the learning has to happen. It's not really black box. We all do Fourier transform. We have all done waveform inversions. Those are very difficult equations and all, and that compared to whatever architecture you are using, it's not. So it's more of the openness. So I would say that of the geophysicist also to know what is there, like anyone can apply any architecture. That's because it's all open source, right? So I think if we can come to some point that fine, we have that understanding. Like a geophysicist know what is an ML, and an ML engineer also knows like ML is not the ultimate thing. It's you have to solve the domain problem. Then we can come in an equilibrium, I think. Maybe one thing I was also wondering. So I know when I work with other people giving us ground truths. For example, like fine, this might be a fault, this might be a fracture. So everyone has their different way of interpreting. So that always brings a confusion. So you might have labeled this fractures false, right? Someone thinks that this is not there. So like even if he so that also creates a problem when you are incorporating all these data sets from different experts. Then what do you think would be a good way, even if you're applying machine learning or deep learning examples? Do you train a model based on one individual's picks or one individual's opinion, or do you think it is good to have picks from different people?
Let's look at a bit bigger perspective. Is that
Right.
subsurface is very, very heterogeneous.
Yes.
Our Mother Earth is very kind to us that even if we make so many assumptions, many times we still make it quite reasonable prediction. But our prediction is very far from the truth. So we are not looking for one single interpretation that is the truth, because we know we can't get the truth.
Right.
Ever. Okay. So that is given that we can't get the truth. We are looking for scenario. We're looking for multiple possible model that makes sense. Okay. So if I give it a data to 5 different interpreter, and if I get the same interpretation then it's not helping me anything. Because we know that we know that all 5 going to be wrong. At least if I get 5 different interpretation, I will get a range of the uncertainty. Because we know we are wrong.
The confidence interval, right? Okay.
So we'll get a sense of the variation in our subsurface or the image. So I'm not actually, I like to get 5 different interpretations than one interpretation. Because otherwise, if I get 5 same, I'm not learning anything, not adding anything. Knowing that anyway we are wrong, all 5 are wrong. So why not get 5 different wrong? So that will give at least a range of the possibility.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I'm in that perspective.
Range of interpretation, so that you know the uncertainty also, that it can be this to this. And like you said, I think signal noise, there is no noise actually, everything is signal. Very valid point. I think everything is actually signal. It's just our limitation. So our limitation makes it a signal or a noise. It's not the data itself. Data is all data only.
And there are methods now being discussed, Vishal, that people are trying to make use of the so-called noise to image the subsurface, using those noise. And we have seen really a good use of those noises. And now, so we want to use both so-called signal and so-called noise and make both to benefit from the data. Okay? So I'm good with the ML. I'm okay with get alternative solutions. It's just that sometimes it becomes very difficult to make a physical meaning to the one, because I don't know how they derived the solution.
Yeah. So you need an explanation, or it has to be that whoever is training the model should also be able to explain it. Because I know people would just say that it's a very great architecture.
In this case, actually, ML is also kind of uncertainty also. So just like 5 people, 5 interpretation, the 6th interpretation can be, let's say, AI ML derived interpretation. And that also tells that, okay, there is like a 6th version also, which may have some correlation with the 5. And I also think that, when we have this 5, 6 versions, there are still some things which are common to all, and then some things which are different, right? So those common things can be obviously trusted more, and the uncommon things can have an uncertainty or not trusted at that time. At least maybe there can be more discussion, or more dig deeper, more research on that. That okay, why are these things changing? Is it like uncertainty, or is it like something more, or is it like a pure error also? So maybe that. And also when you said noise, so I know one technique when the people they do cross correlation of noise to actually image subsurface. Because the only thing that is common to the noise is the signal, common to those noise.
Kind Earth remains the same.
Yeah, Earth remains the same.
Another perspective you're talking about signal to noise or the ML is now that we are trying to make use of the more of the data and trying to implement the physics in the training itself, people will feel more comfortable. But also, if you are trying to do the ML, I suggest to not use processed data to do the ML. I suggest to do on the raw data to do the ML. Okay. Yeah. But most of the ML work you will see is on the processed data, because we are doing processing because we thought that it was a noise. That's not okay. So yeah.
No, we try to like one of the thing I also feel in the same way. Sorry for interrupting you. That we are not cleaning the data, like, because there's so much. Even if you have NaN values in a well log, that also depicts something, like why did you had NaN in that point, right? So that is also not data, it's also a data. So I definitely believe that everything should come
you mentioned the well log. Most of the geophysicists trust the well log as the answer, but I don't. I think the well log has its own issues, and there can be a lot more error within the well logs. So well log is not a God-given answer. So that's my own personal experience. So I don't trust anything.
you don't trust anything.
No. So
No.
The well log is
many
also
times,
like the signal noise, right? Same thing as you said, just like
so
seismic.
people do, like we process our seismic data, people also have to process the well log data. Okay, the tool itself has own limitations, how much they can really sense, the resolution of the tool itself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are some issues in the well log. So once you spend more and more time with the logs and the code, you will start getting uncomfortable making that as a truth.
Yeah.
So be open. Yeah.
Yeah. That is always like, this is not written in stones, right? Tools will have their own error, and that error will be someday something, and the next day it will be a different error, right? And we are not
So
reporting
one
it
more thing I
also.
want to highlight, which I forgot to add, is compared to the ML and AI in the self-car driving or any other, compared to our subsurface, our data is maybe huge in the size, but quite limited. We are taking a picture of the Earth through the remote sense, which is a seismic wave, in a very small range. We are not capturing the big part of the wave that we generate. Big part of the wave is lost through the wave propagation through the subsurface, because we are recording only at the discrete locations where we have receivers.
Oh,
so
right.
we are sampling the Earth very coarsely. We are not sampling the full waveform. So our data is big in the size, but not, or huge in the size, but not in terms of the sampling the subsurface. So we are quite limited in that sense. And with the limited data, we are processing to even remove part of it, because that we say as a noise. And we are still ending up using a very small data sets for our real world. So it's a long way to go to make the most of the data. And this is different from the AI ML to the other field, because we are not sampling the subsurface in a 3D dimension. We're still quite limited.
Okay, even in the collection of data. Okay. Right.
Yeah, the collection, the frequency, the wave number, everything is limited. And as we go deeper, I
we
think
are not think about that. We are not taking the photo of a rock in all the dimensions and everywhere. We are only taking the picture of this rock to the seismic in a very small dimension.
Right.
So our data is very limited.
A lot of blind spots here.
Wow.
So that's why the human interference is required. We try to use our seismic physics to make sense of what we are trying to interpret. And because ultimately somebody has to make a decision. And if I make a decision based on data, I can say that, well, I made a mistake. Okay, I can blame myself. But if I something come out of the ML and if that comes as a black box, whom to blame? Algorithm,
ML.
data, the tool. But that's go nowhere. Right?
The person who
wrote the code.
So now ML is a good. It is helping us improve our many of the workflow, making it better, making it more streamlined. But it has a long way to go, and it may not be as successful as in other fields. That's why I'm suspecting. But again, each day we're learning new and new tools and technologies.
ML can at least reduce the time of some of the processing. So obviously, I think what you are saying is we still need a hybrid mode. We cannot be purely ML or purely human. Obviously, I mean, all the things that we have been doing as a processing step is also kind of a ML in some ways.
One of the things you will hear these days that we want to get is ML to make it a fast turnaround. We have big data sets. Why don't we make it ML to make fast turnaround? I have a little bit actually the other way around perspective, because that way I'm spending less time looking at my own data sets. And I think that's not a good idea. I want to spend more time looking at my own data sets and understand it. And less time you spend on the data sets, you will spend less. As simple. There's no magic. You spend less time looking at the data, you understand less your data sets. You spend more time, you understand more your data sets. Because that's the only thing real. Is the one you are acquiring the data sets. Everything else is our own physical understanding, our own fantasy, our own model. That this might be happening. We don't know. The only thing we have is the data we acquired.
Correct, correct.
So one thing, this is sorry, I wanted to ask you a very important question. I just forgot. I was like listening to you. No, we can just carry on that. Yeah, I wanted to ask you. So, see, if there are short, like easier pipelines, that might be some easier processing pipelines or things like that, which because as a final decision or when it goes as a final imaging, I think ML shouldn't even do any interpretation. Like you that pipeline should name like that thing, that workflow should
No, I
never
mean,
go
if
to
the
an
ML can
imaging.
do some automatic interpretation, that will be one of my scenario or one of my few
One of the
scenario.
scenario.
So I'm
Okay,
not saying
yeah.
that that's not, I will use it. Yeah, of course, that's a
Okay,
good. If something comes that is very unbiased, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
that okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So another question. So if you are in a mid-range company or even a smaller company, like maybe you have small data, you have few wells, like there's really some small well owners or maybe smaller companies. So for them to hire really experienced people is quite difficult, right? So in that case, what is your suggestion? Because then you can definitely have one opinion from ML coming that is okay for them, right? If they are not experienced or if they cannot hire an experienced person.
I mean, there are many consultancy company nowadays, small to the big size, and
Uh-huh.
people can always go to the smaller consultancy company and make use of those resources. I think the ML is a good option, but just believing on the ML probably going to be
It's not the
causing in the long run. So I'm not neglecting the ML. I'm saying that we don't want to. Sometimes if a new technology comes, we get so much overwhelmed with that we start
yeah.
ignoring the what we already know, what it works.
Yeah,
So I'm saying that don't ignore what we know. Make use of the ML and make
yeah,
more out of the data.
data.
That's my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is a very good advice. So I also know that maybe we can also discuss a little bit about your views on renewable energy, clean energy, let's say, because of course now when the Ukraine war started, I think people started realizing the importance of oil and gas again. Suddenly there was a need for that, but before that you would always see like no to conventional energy, right?
So
So what is
you
your
probably will
opinion?
know more about this. I am a truly geophysicist and don't do anything else. So my
Yeah,
understanding is all what I hear from the media or from the news. I still
right.
think that we still are dependent upon the oil, gas, and coal for something around 80% or so, the
Hmm.
demand we have, and that is not going down any soon in the future. So we will
Hmm.
still need a lot more of the oil and gas uh, than all the renewable. When it comes to renewable, we think about the wind, solar. Nowadays, we talk about the hydrogen. They all
Uh-huh.
have their own potential, but the demand is not going down anytime soon. So I would say if you want to really save the environment, try to be optimize your own lifestyle. Try to not use your home cooling to be really cool. Keep it a bit warm. So you use less energy to start with. Okay, that
Okay.
is
Okay.
everything is limited. Okay, if you
Yeah.
think that I want to use all the resources at the same time, you don't want to have oil and gas. It's not very practical. So we have to be practical and use our resources with the in the right way. Don't overuse it.
Yeah, that's true. And also, what is your view on these electric cars? Like I always see like by 2050 everything will be electric cars. Like
Uh, Anything that is
electric,
going to save the earth is going to be good. Electric
yeah.
car probably will come and make a difference. Electric car also needs a lot of the tools or materials that requires oil
Hmm.
and gas. For example, you need a
Right.
battery to start with.
Hmm.
It itself has own challenges.
Challenges,
How do
right?
you recycle? How do you recycle those batteries, for example? So
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
my understanding is only based on what I hear from the media, but
yeah.
I think it has a long way to go.
Go.
We need to look at all the sources of energy, even
Right.
a nuclear. I know that
Mm-hmm.
nuclear has a bad name, but why not nuclear?
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
So one thing I guess some of the audience may not know why the oil and gas being so popular is that transporting the oil is very easy. compared to the many other sources of energy. First of all, that is very dense. The energy density of the oil is very dense. And transporting the oil from one place to other place is a lot more effective than even the gas. Gas is very hard to transport. Okay. So there are reasons why oil and gas has become a big part of the energy solution. And I think going forward, it will still contribute a big part of it. But yes, we are all going into the trying to have other options as well and do invest on those resources. But also minimize your use of the energy. I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that was a very nice discussion. Vishal, do you want to add into this discussion? It was very, very helpful. I think our
I
audience
like
would really
a
like
few
it.
comments made by Dhananjay. Everything is signal, and I would like to see more of my data rather than rely on machines. Few of the very interesting comment, which I now, if I think about, I agree to it more. So it was
So
good
in the
comments.
closing, I only say, Danny, is that especially for those who are a youngster coming into the oil and gas, coming into the seismic, is that we do spend time learning the science. Nowadays, I see more people doing the computing. Computing is good because we can't live with the geophysics without doing computing. But don't spend your majority of your time doing computing. The science, with the geology, the physics, the math, the geophysics, the seismic, they are very important. So do understand the theory, the actual science part, not only the computing part. So that's only my, I guess, advice to the youngster coming into this field.
So just like you said, we are recording only limited data. So your advice is very similar to that. That don't limit yourself to just the computing side. Rather, learn everything from all
Because
directions.
always think about that. We have our friends who are expert in the computer science or electronics. They are going to help us make those algorithms better. As a geoscientist, we should spend time trying to understand the earth, trying to understand the physics, trying to understand the geophysics, the data, and make use of the other people like the computer science or the other expert to help us advance in the computing. Again, if we know computing, it helps to do a small testing and improve our understanding. But we have a lot of resources that will help us in making the computing faster or better. So we should spend, I think, more time doing geophysics than more time doing computing. That's my personal,
Sure.
So let's have a teamwork. Let's have a geophysicist working with a computer science expert to make the most out of it.
More teamwork. So good. Great. Well, thanks, Dhananjay, for your advices. It's very nice podcast. Really good debate and all. Hope our audience likes it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Danny.